Hello and welcome to the BetHelper betting preview. The game we're going to be looking at now is Paraguay versus New Zealand, which is the final group game in Group F. The other game, Slovakia versus Italy, is scheduled for the same time at 3 p.m. on Thursday, the 24th of June. The venue here is Polokwane, so we're going to be at altitude here. Looking at the Asian markets, the Asian handicap is Paraguay -1, New Zealand +1. Paraguay are actually shorting at these odds at this handicap level, so obviously then New Zealand are drifting. Looking at the unders and overs market, the handicap has changed a couple of times. It started off at over 2.75, that's now down to 2.25. It's staying flat at the current levels, so it would show support for unders at the moment. We'll have to monitor this over the next 24 hours, see if this changes again, whether if it will, the over 2.25 goal market will receive enough support to push it up to 2.5. Looking at the betting exchanges have Paraguay flat at 1.5, so heavy favourites there. They have New Zealand drifting at 9s from 8.6, so outside chance there for New Zealand, while the draw is at 4.4. New Zealand have actually managed to draw both their games so far, while Paraguay have drawn one of theirs, so 4.4 doesn't look too bad for the draw there. The overs and unders market, the over 2.5 goal market is flat at 2.22. So again, unders being favoured there at the betting exchanges for the moment. In terms of percentages matched, there's only been 300,000 at the moment so far matched at the betting exchanges. So we're going to have to see if that we have to monitor the percentages matched when this increases tenfold in the next 24 hours before kickoff. Paraguay make up the majority of the bets matched. They come in at 86% of the total wagered, so that's heavy support there for them in that one. Then if you look at New Zealand support, they have pretty minimal support, which is to be expected. They only account for 6% of the market, so again, many people are just having a punt on New Zealand, given they've outperformed themselves in their two previous games, managing a draw on both of them. The draw then makes up 8% of the market, so again, it's an outside bet there for the draw. Looking at the overs and unders market, the over 2.5 goal market has 30%, so that's 70% of the market is matched at the under 2.5 goal market. So at the moment, people heavily favouring the unders market at the moment. Looking at the bookmakers have Paraguay flat at 1.5. They haven't changed all week, so they're heavy favourites and the remaining heavy favourites. Looking at New Zealand, they're at 7s, a bit shorter than you would expect. They've been flat for the week. They probably received shortening odds after they managed to draw against Italy, which was another upset for them there. Looking at the draw then, it's flat at 4.2, so it's a bit shorter than it is at the betting exchanges, so people might be looking towards that. The overs market is at 2.07, it's also flat on the week, so again, the under is slightly shading it. Looking towards the form then, Paraguay have a pretty good, decent recent record. They've 3 wins, 2 draws and 1 loss in their last 6 games. They obviously beat Slovakia last time out 2-0, and they drew their opening game 1-1 with Italy. So they've actually performed pretty well. Looking at New Zealand's recent record, they've only 1 win in the last 6 games, 2 draws and 3 losses. Those 2 draws obviously being the 1-1 draw with Italy and the 1-1 draw with Slovakia in their opening game. They actually met once before. It was a 3-2 victory for Paraguay in 1995. So Paraguay holding the advantage there in that one. Looking at the streaks, Paraguay are unbeaten in their last 5 games against non-European competition or opponents even. So they've pretty strong record against Asian and Oceania sides. Um, New Zealand have 3 draws in a row at competitions. They've lost their previous 11 before that, so they're on a bit of a draw run at the moment. They obviously drew their first 2 games here at the World Cup, and they also drew their last game in the Confederations Cup last summer. 6 of the last 9 goals that Paraguay have conceded have been from set pieces. That goal that De Rossi scored for Italy was from a set piece as well. So we're noticing a trend here with teams both scoring and conceding from set pieces. New Zealand have only won 3 of their last 17 internationals, so they had a pretty easy qualifying group, and so they should have definitely won more of those. Obviously, they got hammered last year in the Confederations Cup by everyone, and they haven't won yet in this World Cup, so that explains that one. 12 of 13 wins have come with a clean sheet for Paraguay. 12 of the last 13 wins have come with a clean sheet, and so they have a pretty good defensive record. New Zealand have managed 2 goals from just 3 shots on target, so they're really hitting the strike ratio there. Looking at the rankings, Paraguay come in 31st in the FIFA rankings, while they're 23rd in the ELO rankings. So pretty good form there for Paraguay. And New Zealand are 78th on the FIFA rankings, while they're coming at 74th on the ELO rankings. The referee for this one is Nishimura, and he's from Japan. Watchers of the World Cup so far would recognise him from the Uruguay-France game, where it was ended 0-0. He had 6 yellows and 1 red in that one. And he also refed the Spain-Honduras game the other night. He gave 2 yellows and 1 penalty in that, so his referee seems to like to get involved. So far he's refed 49 international games. He's given 193 yellows, giving him an average of 3.94 yellows per game. So he's a bit over average, but nothing extreme. He's given 8 penalties, giving an average of 0.16 penalties per game, so that's a little bit below average. And he's given 9 penalties, giving an average of 0.18 reds per game, so again that's a bit below average. So it's kind of surprising to see him given a red card and a penalty already, but I suppose anything can happen in a game. In terms of injury worries, there's no real major injury worries that we're aware of. And looking at the goals scored in qualifying, Paraguay scored an average of 1.44 goals per game, while they conceded an average of 0.88 goals per game in qualifying. Compare that then with New Zealand, who averaged 2.5 goals per game, and they conceded just an average of 0.833 goals per game. So I think their weak group there is accounting for that. Having looked at the probabilities, the computer probabilities for Paraguay have them at a 68% chance of victory. They've New Zealand down at an 18% chance of victory, while the draw comes in at 14% chance. Compare that then with the implied probabilities based on the bookmakers odds. Gives Paraguay 66% chance of victory, so that's about right. New Zealand come in at 11%. That probably has been affected since their last draw, and the draw comes in at 23% on the implied bookmakers odds. So again, you can see that that's a bit higher than the computer probabilities, based on the fact that bookmakers will have odds a little bit lower on a draw just to cover themselves. In terms of suggestions, obviously we're going to have to look at the movements in Asia and at the betting exchanges again before we actually make a final decision, but the markets I will be looking out for are the Paraguay -1, the over 2 goals, and at the moment I'm undecided what to do with the yellow card market. Possibly look to New Zealand to pick up more bookings than Paraguay in that one, but again we'll have to monitor everything in the next 24 hours. So check out twitter.com/BetHelper for updated tips and analysis. Leave any comments below and any emails to BetHelper.ie@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.